Hello and welcome to the...
Oh, Brendan, you got a problem with your mic? Brendan?
Brendan.
Brendan!
Oh, Brendan.
Brendan! We can't hear you. He is a consummate professional.
Oh my God.
There we go. I think he's back.
Who you
No,
was
can't hear you
with?
still, Bren. Can't hear you still. No. So this is quite funny because last time, Sandro, you were on the show, and I remember I was presenting, and your internet in I think you were on holiday in Portugal, or
Yes,
you were in
yes.
Portugal. Do you remember? And it
Yes.
I remember you just going every 2 minutes.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I was in Algarve. Yeah.
And this time it's Brendan, which is just beautiful. He's coming back. Well, I'll introduce everybody then. Sandro, a man who needs absolutely no introduction, Spurs legend. How are you, sir?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you to have me again.
No, it's our pleasure to have you on. And, I know there'll be loads of questions from people tonight during the show who want to get the answers from the big man. So, or the beast. If that's do I call you Beast or Sandro tonight? What do we go with?
What do you prefer?
Good stuff. And Charlie, all the way from the Athletic. How are you this evening, Charlie? You good?
I'm good. Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, I normally host the YouTube shows, so it's not alien to me to be doing the intros. But I didn't expect Brendan to drop me in it quite like that so soon. How are we back, Bren?
I hope so. Can you hear me now?
Hey.
Oh,
sorry, guys.
Better.
Third world internet. I'm in Monte Gordo in Bahia. Like the internet here isn't known for its strength. So,
okay, that now is better.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what have I missed? Did you do the intro about the charity, or shall I do that?
Not done that. That's your baby. You go for it, mate.
Cool, perfect. Cheers. Again, apologies for the technical issues. Long-term listeners to the Cheese Room will know that we do have an official charity at the Cheese Room podcast, which started off during COVID to help families in the Morro do Coroa favela in Rio buying food parcels. We've helped 411 families since the beginning of the project. Essentially, what we do is we use the project to obviously to feed families, but also to get excellent guests like we have today to help families that are in need. And to have a great podcast as well. So these are some of the images for those following us on YouTube. It's really great. And some of the families that we've helped have removed themselves from the list. So they've said, look, there are people that are in more need than we are. So please help them. So it's a really good project. So the donation link is in the YouTube description, and it will be wherever you get your podcast as well, be it Spotify, Apple, it'll be in the podcast description as well. A few quid to donate would be great. We'll be matching every donation, and advertising revenue will go as well. So please send this to your friends to get them to listen as well, because the more people that listen, the bigger the donation that can be made. Have you made intros of our guest caller?
I have, yeah. Well, I had to. You're having technical issues. I think you pulled out your mic, actually, if I'm being really honest. But blaming the internet, it's fine. It's all good. It's all good between friends, right?
Tough stuff. Well, let's start with Sandro. Sandro, welcome back to the Cheese Room. And we know that you're doing your badges for your FIFA coaching qualification. How are they going, and any chance they'll be done by the summer?
First of all, well done for you guys to do this great thing, to put food for those people that don't have. Yes, it's a pleasure to be here again with you guys. So yes, now I'm just waiting for doing I don't know how can I say estágio, like
internship.
Yeah, I have to watch games, training, this kind of thing. But the hardest I think is done, because it's writing, listening is quite here in Portugal is quite difficult. It's heavy, you know, but it's good because you learn a lot of things.
Fantastic. Well, how long does it? Just out of curiosity, how long is it to get your badges from the start till the end? What's the duration of the course?
Yeah, it's long. For example, just to get my UEFA B is like 1 year.
Okay.
Just the UEFA B, and after I have the UEFA A, and after I have the Pro. So I don't know, but since that I get my UEFA B, I can start to work as a assistant.
Perfect.
So if the new manager wants me around, I just
Amazing, man. And Charlie, welcome to the Cheese Room again. Apologies for the technical issues at the beginning. Great to have you on. Congratulations on recent fatherhoods. How is everything? I know you're back to work now. How's everything been the last 6 months?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, full on. Good to be back at work. Amazingly, I'd say covering Spurs is actually less stressful than having 2 kids. So yeah, and that is saying something. No, it feels like coming back to work has felt like, really, it's been really nice actually. And it's even though I've come back obviously at a really busy time. What with my first 2 weeks were Conte getting sacked, Perisic getting the ban, so and then didn't have my first game until Everton, which was fairly eventful in the end as well. So no, it's been good and good to be back.
Brilliant. Well, let's get into the current state of play. Let's start with you, Sandro. You played in Italy. Obviously, you played at Genoa with Romero. We have some photos there. You were actually there on his debut, I think. I remember from our last chat.
Yeah.
Have you played against the Conte team? Why do you think it didn't work out for him at Spurs?
I think I play against him, but was in England. Yeah, when he was at Chelsea, I think. But for me, I think to be honest, I think the way of Conte is not our way, you know. Is not the way that Spurs like. This is my opinion, because the way that the fans like is going through. It's a good game, you know. You attack, you passing the ball, you control. It's, I don't know. Conte is is amazing manager. Please, of course, everybody knows that. But for Tottenham at this moment, for me, since the beginning, I said that it's maybe can go wrong because the way, just the way, you know. If you take like one coach that is attacking football, it's can be good, can be bad, but you find the style of the game. And yes, I hope just now to a new coach that wants to play the game, wants to have the ball, wants to control the game. I think the football, it's all about having fun, control, going forward. It's, for me, this is my idea of football.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, do you find it odd we sacked Conte, but kept the entire backroom team? Stellini, Ryan Mason, obviously heading it up, but all the backroom team are there. I mean, that's not like normal, is it?
No, it is quite unusual, borderline unprecedented. I mean, it's very odd in a way. To sack a manager when it's not working and then say, okay, so we don't think he's great, but we're going to just replace him with his number 2. I mean, I think the hope is that this late on in the season, there's not really any bedding in time. You know, normally if you bring in a new manager, you'd say, okay, we'll give you a few games or whatever, get your ideas across. But this is like a 10-game shootout to try and get top 4. And so I think the logic was, let's try and, I don't know, keep it as it was. But it is odd to go for the continuity candidate when it, you know, the previous guy has just sort of torched the building on his way out and has played football that was, as Sandro says, pretty uninspiring. I think the hope was that they could maintain the results, which up until yesterday had them in the top 4, but without the kind of crazy volatility that Conte brought. Whether that works, we'll see. But I think it's interesting, you know, a lot of teams this season, more than ever, are sacking their managers late on in the season. And everyone's kind of muddling around trying to find out what's the best thing to do with an interim. You know, Chelsea have just gone and appointed Frank Lampard, which has raised eyebrows to a similar extent, albeit in a different way. So it is odd, but I think it was probably, they felt it was the best option available to them because there weren't many really.
Yeah.
It's a strange one because, you know, the question is it Conte or is it Conte's system? And Stellini is, I mean, he's been by Conte's side for however many years. You probably know that better than me, but a significant amount of time. So, you know, I think it's fairly understandable, the frustration of the fans.
For sure. And I do feel for him because I think he has no real grace period. As soon as, if things are to go badly, let's say if Spurs lose at home to Brighton, I think everyone's going to be saying, well, of course this has happened. What did you expect when we just appointed the deputy of the guy who we've just sacked? So it's tough for him. You know, he's coming in on slightly uneasy ground and probably isn't getting the kind of leeway that most new managers would.
Just on the appointment as well, like we've seen with Chelsea now, they've appointed Frank Lampard today. Would a similar appointment for us have probably been better than Stellini? Again, we were talking in hindsight, but Harry Redknapp, for example, he'd clearly come back. I think he still has maintained a good relationship with the club. But would you support that happening, Charlie? And then Sandro?
I don't know. I think you know, he left Spurs over a decade ago. I think a lot has changed in football since then. It would be an enormous risk, and maybe it would pay off. I don't know. I get. Maybe the upside's higher, but I think the downside is lower. I think Stellini is a safer pair of hands at this point. But I mean, bear in mind, Lampard, I can see why the comparisons are being made, but bear in mind, Lampard was managing in the Premier League this season, whereas Harry Redknapp, it's been a long time since he managed in the Premier League. You know, Lampard is considerably younger than him, and say what you like about him, you'd think his methods would be a bit more up to date. I mean, I love Harry Redknapp, and he did an amazing job, you know, back in Sandro's day, but yeah, I'm not sure it's an exact comparison.
Sandro, would you have?
I completely agree with Charlie because I love Harry as well. He was my manager. Like he bought me from Brazil. He take me from Tottenham to QPR. I love him. He knows that. But as Charlie was saying, yeah, he's a long time out of football. So, and you take Tottenham now is, you know, trying to be in the top 4. I think it's a better solution to stay with the manager.
Yeah, I just brought it up in just in terms of the style of play. We're not enjoying the football. At least with Harry, we did enjoy it. Like that, I enjoyed everything about the Redknapp reign. His press conference, I enjoyed him more than Pochettino with the press conferences and how he represented the club. It was swashbuckling, which is a word I love when talking about football. But just going on to the manager hunt, Charlie, you first. Do you think that with all the jobs that will be available over the summer, so we're looking at PSG, Real Madrid, if Ancelotti does go to Brazil, probably at least one of the big teams in Italy, Juventus, Allegri's not doing very well. Have we missed a trick by not acting quickly, or is it simply a case of the big managers are biding their time and we have to sort of play the game as well?
I think there is a lot of the latter there from conversations I'm having. what I'm being told is, if you are a man, one of the managers that Spurs want, we're talking about the kind of top bracket, it makes sense for them to wait until the summer, because then they know the lay of the land, as you're talking about, which jobs are available for them, rather than rushing into something now, and especially taking something a few weeks ago that would have been, come in for 10 games. I think, almost all managers will want full preseason, get started properly. So I think there is a lot of that. That said, I understand the frustrations, especially as, we've already seen now Chelsea are sort of shopping in the same kind of space as what Spurs are. And the impression we get is that, they're moving pretty quickly. Obviously, they've already got the interim in, but this is complicated by the Pratici situation. When the guy who's meant to be leading that search is banned from doing so, you're in a slightly sticky spot, especially as we will get clarity on that in a couple of weeks, whether his ban is upheld. At that point, Spurs have to press on either with him or without him. But I can understand them thinking, well, we might need to just park it a little bit for now and see what is happening, because they could go down one route and then he's back in a couple of weeks, wants to go down another route, and then there's that disconnect again. But those 2 weeks could be crucial, because things might develop with other clubs, and they're desperate to avoid the situation they had 2 years ago when it took 72 days and they ended up with about their 10th choice. But sometimes it's out of your hands, because they are in a position where they want an elite manager, and those elite managers, as you say, are going to have options. So the chances are there'll be one or two who they want and can't get. And then it's just really making sure that they are focused, single-minded in getting the targets and selling a vision of the club. The slight problem they have is, obviously, I mentioned, Conte torching the building on his way out. You've got the Pratici situation. The worry, and this is why what Conte did was so concerning to a lot of people at the club, is that some managers might look at the situation and say, there's too much going on there, I think I'm going to swerve it.
Sandro, next appointment, do you think we should be aiming for this sort of elite class of manager like Conte was, like Jose Mourinho was? Or do you think we should look for someone more up and coming? And who would your sort of pick of who's available? Who would you plumb for?
I think Spurs have to think a lot in now in this situation, because he must take one young coach, young mentality, style of play from behind, from the back, building everything in the all the club, build the way the under 20, under 15, build everything from zero, build everything, one big project for the manager, and trust in the way. For me, is the solution for Tottenham. Is like that. It's not just take a manager now, don't go well next. You have to trust in the process. You got Arsenal, you got what Arteta is doing. Arsenal trust in the process, bring new mentality, new young guy, bam, stay behind him. But just like I said before, bring a style that Tottenham like it, like to play football from behind. Like Brenda was saying, I love Harry Knapp, because we don't stay back. We go forward. It's a happy when the fans is coming for the stadium. They are excited because they knew we couldn't show a very good game. It's not. I saw some games under Conte, and I said, "Guys, come on, man! Come on, man. No, really, come on, man! Let's go! Let's play! Let's do movements! Let's be excited and like even if you lose, but I'm talking about the style of the game. And I think for Tottenham needs to trust in someone that got this.
I remember after Milan, we spoke briefly. You went to the game and you were just like, "Nah, he's got to go. This is not Tottenham." We when we were at the Lisbon game, though, said two things to me that I remember. Pedro Porro is really good. We have him.
Yeah.
But you also said Amorim is a good manager. I think you know him from playing. So would Amorim be an option?
You remember that I could be a scout for Tottenham. Yes, for sure. It's this kind of coach that I'm talking about. He's a young coach. He's doing very good. He got amazing style. He controlled the change room. He talks nice. It's a clever guy. It's a manager like that. It's for me. I go tomorrow to speak with him, but it's not a lot that you have in the market. You don't have many, so you have to start fast, because maybe he goes to another club if you don't, because now football, I think, is changed. I think this time football is changed. Football, it's becoming more strategic, more I think it's a good time to Tottenham think next level. It's now.
Charlie, who do you think it will be, and who do you want it to be?
It's really difficult at this point. So I think, because I do think it will change potentially with the Paratici situation. I know Nagelsmann has a lot of admirers, but that's not just at Tottenham, elsewhere as well. I think it's really hard as to who I'd want as well. I like the idea of Amorim, as Sandro says. He's been really impressed with him. We've seen him quite a lot in this country because they played Spurs in the Champions League and then Arsenal in the Europa League. And he didn't lose any of those games. Three were draws, to be fair, but still, we can spin it. I really like Thomas Frank. I've said this before. I think he's great. I know that a lot of people don't think he plays kind of Spurs enough football. I would say he did, when he was in the Championship with Brentford, they did play more expansively. I think the way he plays now is more to do with the kind of players he has relative to sort of the level of other teams around him. But when I watch Brentford, I just see a team that's so well coached. They all know exactly what they're doing. I think he's a great guy, great personality. Whenever I've been in his press conferences, been really impressed with the way he talks. So yeah, I think someone like him could do a really good job, or De Zerbi, and we'll see on Saturday him up close. Hopefully he won't, for Spurs' sake, won't do his chances too much good in that game.
Charlie, but I don't want to tell here, because I work with De Zerbi, and I'm doing a lot of interviews because everybody knows that I work with him. So he starts to call me and say, "Sandro, what do you think? What do you think?" And guys, it's just the manager that Spurs needed. Is to be
really
fair. I said this 3 years ago or more because when I had him in Italy, I remember that one manager was sacked at Spurs, and I don't know. I follow some Spurs page, and I put the Zerbi names, and nobody knows him because he was at Sassuolo that time, and he was just starting at Sassuolo. So it's a kind of manager that Spurs needs to be honest. It's
Because of the way he plays as well.
The way he's amazing. He's amazing. He's the best for me. He's the best manager I had for sure. Okay. It's I'm doing the badges to be a coach. Before I play with the Zerbi, I was thinking already, but when I start to train with him, I say now 100% I want to be a coach. This makes sense for me. It all makes sense. And he opened the door for me as well at Brighton to be to do the estágio, to do the
internship.
Yeah. And in August, if everything goes well, in August I will be there watching the games, because I want to learn from him, because for me he can get the top level.
Okay, Sandro sold me. De Zerbi, 100%.
Yeah, I'm in. Yeah, I was going to say get Pochettino back, but yeah, all the way.
No, but Pochettino as well. But like I said, I prefer to trust in the young become because De Zerbi it's hungry. He was hungry since when I was with him. He was hungry. He comes to the training session. He's not the manager that will take a coffee with. We arrive late on the field. No, he's the manager that will arrive first and will be there in the end of the not and every single day. It's not a manager that no, I'm gonna take a tea today and don't watch the training. No, he's doing there the details. The details. No.
Sandro, do you think he'd be interested in the job at Spurs though? He's got a pretty good thing going at Brighton at the moment, and
yes, I think every single manager when you say Tottenham, everybody wants to get a trophy in Spurs, and it's big, it's amazing club, and of course he gonna be interesting for me. I think if I was him, yeah, but he's doing very well. I think the world is seeing him now. Everybody is watching.
We'll put in a good word for Spurs next time we talk to them. Because I remember actually when you were over for the Frankfurt game and you went to the Spurs training ground, you also went to the Brighton training ground. Did he invite you then?
Yeah. He was because when he was my manager at Benevento, he said, "Oh, I would love to become a manager in Premier League. That is my dream." And when he just signed at Brighton, I sent him a text and I said, "Oh, you made it. Well done." And he said, "No, Sandro, yes, come wherever, when you want, come to see a game, come to see me." And I say, "Yo." Next day I was there knocking. And I explained to him that I want to be a coach and I want to, because to be fair, he was the guy that made me think more about football. And for me, I have to follow him because it's the way that I trust.
Mm-hmm. Well, Charlie, the decision for the manager has to be the right one this time. And do you have faith that it will be made, that we will make the right decision, bearing in mind everything that's going on with Perisic and Levy? It's a bit of a mess.
I suppose, Mike, just building on from that, the question is who's making the decisions ultimately?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it is Perisic who was leading this managerial search. But, he led the search that ended up with Nuno. And then the next appointment of Antonio Conte, Levy basically just went ahead and did it himself. That was very much a Conte appointment. It was nothing really to do with Paratici. So there's every chance Levy could pick someone he wants again as well, whether Paratici is there or not. Do I have confidence that they'll get the right person? I mean, based on the last few, it's hard to see where that confidence would come from. I mean, you'd hope, I suppose, that lessons will have been learned, and you'd think, well, surely after getting the previous 3, 2, you would say certainly wrong, and 1 worked for a bit, served the purpose, the kind of shock therapy, got them top 4 last season. And Mourinho as well, I can sort of see the logic in some ways, even though it didn't work out. Nuno was just a complete aberration. Maybe they're due a good one. Pochettino obviously was genius, though Van Gaal was the first choice back then, which is kind of often forgotten. And you think how different Spurs' history could have been. I suspect he would have been more in the Mourinho Conte kind of bracket. So I don't know. I think they're going to have to get this one right. But until they do, I don't think any confidence right now would be particularly well placed given the last few appointments.
And Paratici, I mean, is there any chance we could see him cleared but lose his job anyway? Because the scandal, it's just shocking, to be honest. We've been dragged through the mud with this, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would say, as soon as he got the ban from Italian football back in January, Spurs should have moved. And yeah, I think there's definitely a world in which he does get cleared, but come the end of the season anyway, they think, right, this isn't really working out. But we'll have to wait and see on that.
Guys, let me ask a question for you guys now.
Sure.
What do you think about Arsenal team? About the players that Arsenal got? What
I think's amazing on that, Sandro, is I was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in May of last year when Spurs won 3-0, and that went a long way towards them getting 4th ahead of Arsenal. And at that time, I just find it amazing. That's 11 months ago. And at that time, the message was very much, Spurs have got top 4. Arsenal have bottled it. Spurs are going up. They could challenge for the title. Arsenal are doomed to a lifetime of Europa League. I'm slightly exaggerating, but more or less was the message. Yeah. And we, as a footballing community, just got that so horrendously wrong, which I think is interesting in itself. Arsenal are doing something similar to what Spurs did under Pochettino. And both clubs are, as much as they hate each other, they're very similar. They're in that bracket. Yeah. They spend money, but they don't spend, they're not backed by a nation state. They can't compete spending-wise with City, Chelsea, etc. But they're above most of the others. So they are amongst a very small group of clubs that if they are clever and strategic, then they have a chance. We saw that with Spurs under Pochettino, and we're seeing that now. But what they've done is so different because to what Spurs have done the last few years. Spurs went for Conte, and again, in May 2022, I think everyone was saying, weren't Spurs clever? They went and got the guaranteed win while Arsenal were kind of messing around with this young upstart, and look at them. They bottled it because they've got young players and a young manager. But they really believed in him. They really trusted in him. And I think one of the key differences is the alignment at all levels of the club. When Arsenal make a signing, Arteta, Edu, all the people, they only do it if they all agree on it. What you've had at Spurs the last few seasons, look at that transfer window. Look at the wing backs that were signed last year. You've got Ivan Perisic, a 33-year-old on big money comes in, Antonio Conte's man. Jed Spence comes in on the other side. Conte disowns him as a club signing before he's even officially joined the club. There's just this massive disconnect. And, strategically as well, you've gone for these win-now managers, Conte, Mourinho, but not win-now players. So it's all just kind of a bit of a mess strategically, whereas what Arsenal have done very well is they've got a clear strategy, they've backed the manager, and they've been bold enough to say, we're going to ride out some bad times, because let's not forget, Arsenal had some pretty dismal times under Arteta. Winter 2020, they lost 5, drew 2 of 7 league games. I don't think many big clubs, you're going to get a manager who survives that kind of run. They were a bit lucky because the games were played behind closed doors, so there weren't fans to say, get this guy out of our club. But they held their nerve. And so I think there are lessons to be learned from Arsenal, as galling as that might sound for Tottenham. But Arsenal did the same. They learned lessons from Pochettino's Spurs.
Yeah. And I think what they've done is taken that disappointment from last season, bottled it and turned it into a positive, and the mental strength to come back and do that. You have to pay credit to Arteta and his coaching team because, I guess the message at the end of that season was, remember what this feels like. Don't let it happen again. And then they've added some quality to that squad in the summer window. And it's the old adage: if you buy well, you buy once. And Arsenal have bought well, much as though it pains me to say it. Their players fit the system. As Charlie said, top down, you can tell they're joined up. And Spurs just aren't like that. I also think they've probably overpaid for a couple of players and stuck their neck out and paid more than we would for a couple of players, and said, actually, these are the players we want. And if it costs us an extra 5 to 10 million, we're going to buy them. Whereas I think we dither and dather and it ends up not happening.
Leandro Trossard in January being an example.
Prime example.
Yes, it's just I ask this just because what I can say is because Arsenal trust in the process. Arsenal bought not amazing players, not great players.
Yeah,
he just bought what Arteta was looking like. I need this player. I need my team. Oh man, if I get this player, my team can improve. Trust in the process, and the owner stay behind. I'll say yes, this okay, because don't cost a lot of money as well. Okay, because Tottenham to win or to be in this next step, we don't have to fight against money. No, we have to fight against mental training. This kind of guys that I'm saying, Arteta, what he does was just training, was just there, and Tottenham bring Mourinho, Tottenham bring Conte, but this kind of managers, he needs a lot from top players. They're not gonna teach the players how to arrive there. They have to have top players. In my opinion, we Tottenham need to build a project. It's just that. And one first year, maybe after we arrive.
I mean, the fan base half the problem, though. Sandro. Fans are so impatient, myself included. I mean, Pedro Porro had a nightmare of a debut, and immediately there's people going, waste of money, etc., etc., which is, to me, is complete nonsense. No. But I think the expectation at the club is almost too high sometimes, and I think that does feel into the team,
But who knows football have to have. I can't say Pedro Porro it's a shit player. How can? I saw some guys on TV saying Pedro Porro is a shit player.
Tim Sherwood, I think.
Yeah.
It's Tim Sherwood.
How can? You cannot judge one player in one half and one game, on 2 games. It's crazy. Yeah. I think, and he was a footballer, and we have to understand, to know first And after, we're not gonna say, "Oh no, that's shit," blah blah blah. No, calm down, guys. Is the right way? Okay, so calm down. Let's trust in the process.
I think that the last manager we had that had that patience was Pochettino. I think it's the only manager in the Daniel Levy reign that has renewed his contract, which is telling, really. I mean, it's terrible, but it's also telling, and that we got it right with him.
Well, the thing is, Bryan, for my mind, and I'd love to know what Sandro and Charlie think on this. Poch improved players. He was a coach. Arteta is a coach. He improves players.
Yes.
Conte, it's like a game of Subbuteo, and I've got this system. I need these players, and I can win if it's this system. But I can only win if it's my players and my system. Almost a point of petulance. Jose, similar story. Didn't coach anyone. Didn't improve anyone. And a lot of the players, as you say, Sandro, that Arsenal have signed, people. If we were signing those players under Conte, people would be going, well, why have we spent that on him?
Can you imagine if Antonio Conte was told your only available striker is Eddie Nketiah? I hope that's cool, Antonio. He would lose his effing mind. Whereas Arteta had to deal with that for however long this season, and they beat Tottenham at Spurs with him as their only striker. They beat Man United. Like, you're going to be dealt that hand. And Pochettino was always amazing at when players would be out. And he'd say, it's okay, we've got players coming in. Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, that famous 4-0 game against Barca, they were missing 2 out of their 3 forwards, the Salah, Mane, Firmino. I think it was only Mane who played that game, and you just find ways somehow. It was Origi was the hero that day. Sorry to mention him, I know, bad vibes, but like, you're gonna have times where you don't have all your players or whatever, and you have to find solutions, and that is what the best managers do, and Poch has
Charlie, sorry, but that's what I was talking about, because when you got an organization on your club, you have the under 20 guys flying. You got you go to South America and buy the players under 18,
Martinelli, something like that.
You buy it already. You have a lot of guys around the world just seeing the players. But first, don't think for tomorrow. Think for 3 years. You have to have that, and after the player is there. But got injured. No, this guy's he's ready. He's ready. And you don't, oh my God, panic yourself because one player no, you're done when you are, it's done. This guy injured, like, for example, Rodrigo, that got injury. So now it's, oh my goodness. Like on my time as well, when I got injured, bam, like you was saying, the team can't, the replacement have to have the same or even better.
And so much of that is, having a system and a structure that you're really familiar with, and that's what the best, you see that with Guardiola as well. And I know Guardiola City, different stratosphere and limited money, whatever, but they are able to, Foden and Haaland go out the team. They still are able to beat Liverpool 4-1. And look, City might feel like they're operating in a different galaxy, but that's sort of the standard that you have to try at least to reach. And yes, obviously having a load of money really, really helps. I'm not pretending that isn't the case. Of course it is. But you also don't win titles, even if you're Man City. We've seen that without a manager who has a really set structure. And that's where Liverpool at their best were as well, that you have that. That means if you do miss, if a couple of players are injured, you can slot in other players who on paper don't seem as good, but all of a sudden they're elevated. And that's what Pochettino did so well too.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm wary, Sandro, that you said you need to run off in about 10 minutes. So I did have a section on the ownership and leave. I think we'll skip that. Let's keep it positive. So let's finish on a nice positive note. We'll go around the room. Start with you, Charlie. Your fondest memory of Sandro as a Spurs player?
Well, unfortunately, the day didn't work out so well for Spurs, but it's that goal against Chelsea in 2011, it must have been, towards the end of that season. And it got overshadowed because there was then a kind of goal that wasn't for Chelsea and all of that. But you know the goal I'm talking about, and it was...
Of course, man.
Yeah, it was some strike.
You never forgot the first one. Oh, man.
To do it at Stamford Bridge as well, you knew then you're the kind of hero for life.
Wow, man. When I saw the ball goes, and I think, he's in. And the funny history is about the celebration, man. Harry Knapp, so funny. Lampa, be careful with Lampa, Sandro. And I said, Harry, no, man.
He was telling you to get
to worry about you.
Yeah, he was worrying about Lampa. No, son, stay close to Lampa. Don't go. He's crazy.
That was such a good team.
Yeah.
That Spurs team. Because that was the quarterfinal of the Champions League that season as well, wasn't it? So it was, yeah. Amazing campaign.
Yeah, that for me is the two performances against Milan in the Champions League, the home tie especially as well. Just you were immense in both those ties, and you were deservedly man of the match. I think in both of the ties, or at least certainly the away tie that
the second one. Second one. Yeah. Yes, was these two games for me was amazing. But my memory, it's when my first game at San Siro, Champions League game, and I come in to the pitch, was playing Guns N' Roses, raining in the warm up, and like it's like a dream, like. And the San Siro, it's amazing. Like, wow. I was 21, my friend. And I was, whoa, amazing. My first game, in the Champions League.
Call out your Sandro moment.
Well, I'm a fan of a worldie, so Manchester United, absolute rocket. Absolute rocket. You made me very happy that day, Sandro. When you hit a ball like that, you must know it's in as soon as it's come off your foot, surely.
Yeah, sure. And when I was in Brazil, because I signed before like 6 months, I signed before because I was playing Libertadores, and I start to think about Tottenham because I was a Tottenham player, and I was dreaming, my friend. I start dreaming about my first goal in White Hart Lane, not away, not the Chelsea one, but at home. And this goal, it was more beautiful that it was in my dream.
What a goal!
Yeah.
And White Hart Lane, what a place! That stadium was special, wasn't it? It was just
it was amazing.
What did you think of the new stadium, Sandro? You've been back, I know now, and it's very different, isn't it?
Yes, but Brendan, I want to live there. It's so nice, man. When I came, like, wow, I say, what a change. It's beautiful. Yeah. Now we just have to win trophies, my friend. We have everything.
Exactly. We need a manager to do that. So when you finish your badges, do you think you'll start sort of in the lower leagues in Portugal, or what do you think the trajectory will be once you get that? Because there's a big discussion here in Brazil and in general with journalists. I think we spoke yesterday about Tim Vickery, who I saw in Rio a couple of weeks ago. The Brazilian managers, they don't really get the success in Europe. There's not. I mean, Scolari, I think, was the last one to play in manage the UK.
Sandro is going to do it.
Sandro, we need you. Sandro, we need you.
You are looking first one.
Also,
But,
so go on.
but I will knock Daniel Levy door, and I want to start from low level, like academy. I want to understand. I want to take time, but I want to take academic first, and after just to see, just to try. But yes, I would love to have a place at Tottenham. They start there in the youngers, and after wait for the manager get sacked. And I mean,
I remember also when we first met in Setúbal, you said that when you're Spurs manager, that you'll give me a job. So I'm holding you to it, man.
I'll tell you. Yeah. Be awesome.
What I do, I don't know. I mean, Conte's brother did the camera. He does the
You
camera.
pour a good beer, Bryan. You pour a good beer.
Yeah, I could pour. No, the players that like tea, but I could do the camera stuff.
Yeah, but my mentality, my way of what I want is it starts from like low, like young guys helping very slowly. Because some guys, no, I want to go. I can go to the top. Starts to training like Serie A team or second division. No, I want to learn. Very careful.
Before we wrap up, there's a couple of listener questions. We've got a couple of minutes left. Luke Taylor, I'll go to you, Charlie, with this one. Is the director of football role at Spurs one that works well for us? They seem to coincide with periods of turmoil, but often long-term produce our best players.
I think it's just the way football is now. You do need someone in that kind of role with the expertise. I just think, like I said before, I think it's about the individual, but it's also about having that alignment, having the freedom to build his own team. And look, Levy has given Perisic a lot of freedom relative to what he's typically done before. Perisic has built his own team. He's got a few people he appointed last summer. So I think the model's fine, and it's what most clubs do. It's just about making sure you're completely aligned from top to bottom. It's easier said than done, but you just have to have that conviction in what you're doing.
Here's a question for both of you, really. If we get absolutely done by Brighton at the weekend, and I mean, like,
nice positive on finish.
yeah, positive vibes. If we get done by Brighton, is there any chance we could see a different interim manager brought in, or if the next two games go bad, say? Because you got to bear in mind, the crowd, it's going to turn ugly. If Spurs turn up and play like they did, at Southampton last week, it's going to get ugly, isn't it?
I don't think it would happen necessarily, or certainly not that quickly after a couple of games, but this season of all seasons, I wouldn't rule it out at some point, because it's just been such a crazy season across the board with managerial changes, way more than they've ever been before. You've got Chelsea, even under Abramovich, I don't think they ever sacked two managers in the season. You're just seeing teams, once the fans turn, it's really, really difficult. And fans are turning probably quicker than ever. I mean, I don't think the fans will get on Stellini, first of all. I think, their eye will be directed elsewhere, higher up than him. But yeah, I've definitely had that thought as well, that if things were to go badly with these two home games, then yeah, there might be calls for another change, which seems crazy, but that is kind of modern football.
We could definitely do with you in central midfield the weekend, Sandro. So
I miss it, man. I wish.
Brilliant.
I think we have to stick with the manager this 10 games, because like Charlie said, it's done, man. This year you have to start think, of course, next year what kind of coach, what coach, he starts to talk, blah, 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 blah. But to sack, no.
I understand. I just think with, what is it, the difference between being in Europa League, Conference League, even in the Champions League, probably about 40 million quid. You know, that's a big motivator. But we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's wrap up there. We've been an hour. Sandro, I know you need to get on. Sandro, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Charlie, great to have you on first time. Well, and I hope to have you back again soon, if that's all right.
Yeah, thanks so much. And thank you, Sandro. That was great.
Thanks, Charlie. Well done for the baby.
Yeah, thank you.
Just one thing, did you want to mention this quickly, Sandro, the friendly international, Spurs international charity that you're doing in May?
Yes, of course. Everybody must be in, like saying beast. It's gonna be. Hey, I'm taking serious, this game. I'm preparing myself. Yes,
So
but it's to help Duxie charity for his dad, I think. And yes, everybody there to watch a nice game, just come, huh?
Yeah.
What a player! Look,
the players look amazing. What a lineup!
It's amazing.
Van der Vaart, Ledley, wow. Top guys, will be amazing.
Harry in the dugout. We're going to stick the flyer on our Twitter page and Instagram and Facebook page for anyone that's interested in that. It is in May. The flyer is very small here, but the details will be put up on our socials. Those who are into the Spurs pods, Charlie, View from the Lane is an incredible Spurs pod. I'm sure everyone knows about it, but for those who may not have heard about View from the Lane, do you want to mention it quickly?
Yeah, so it's twice a week it's the Athletics Spurs podcast hosted by Danny Kelly, who some of you may know from his radio work. He's an amazing host. And then it's me and Jack, who are the club correspondents, and James Moore, who's one of our editors and is a big Spurs fan. So he provides the kind of, the sort of angry Spurs-ness. We try and sort of be a bit more measured, which, sometimes we're on a bit of a hiding to nothing trying to do that. But yeah, it's really good fun. And I think hopefully provides a good balance of kind of our style reporter heads and then Danny and James, who are extremely knowledgeable and extremely passionate as well.
Yeah, it's an excellent podcast. So View from the Lane, do check that out. Caller, thanks for joining, mate.
I think I'm going to make my way down to Bishop Stortford in May to go see Sandro and Co. That's good. I might come down. Look, pleasure as ever. On with two fantastic guests, and of course yourself, Brendan. So it is always a pleasure. I mean, we only speak about 4 times a day, so I can't get into your face.
Yeah. And all for a good cause as well. So do please, if you can, just donate the cost of a coffee to help the Favela Food Fund, which is our charity over Easter. We've already made our donation, and we'll double whatever is donated as well. And do check us out on the socials, subscribe to your podcast provider, and as ever, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Yes. Vamos.
Vamos, Spurs.
Vamos, Spurs.
Yes.